Tim Scott, the junior United States Senator from South Carolina, has thrown his hat into the ring, seeking to become the MAGA GOP nominee. Now, the announcement speech is an important day in any candidacy. It tells us a lot about the candidate, about how he thinks, about what he believes about himself, what it is that they see staring back when they look in the mirror and come to the conclusion that it is they who should be the most powerful person on earth, the person in charge of America's potent nuclear arsenal. We'll take apart Tim Scott's speech today. We'll analyze it. We'll look for what makes him special, unique, and we'll assess, can he win the Republican nomination? Can he dethrone Donald Trump as the MAGA king? I've said earlier that I expect that Tim Scott will be securely in second place by July 4th. I expect that he will dethrone Ron DeSantis and become Donald Trump's chief competitor. Understanding his speech help explains why. Tim Scott is running a traditional up from your bootstraps story steeped in the American mythology that anything is possible if you work hard and play by the rules. Tim Scott talks about this at length. He talks about his mother working 16 hours a day, and he even regales his audience with a story about how his mother severely beat him, sending him onto the straight and narrow path. Let's watch.
But she had a different approach. She introduced me to a different form of encouragement. It was applied from right about here all the way down to here.
One of the first things that any campaign has to do when trying to beat the front runner, when trying to win the championship, trying to knock down the champ, who in this instance is Trump, where will they win? What state in the early contest gives them the best chance to score a victory? For Tim Scott, that's the state of Iowa. And Tim Scott today brought a very good Jesus game. Let's listen.
All of God's people come together. Black ones and white ones, and red ones and brown ones. Faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what America would be.
Nobody should underestimate the capacity for this stuff to work in the state of Iowa, which is filled with evangelical voters. There's a great threat facing the American people. Didn't you hear about it? It's always from the insidious, malevolent, always lurking, ever present, always invisible, never actually heard from, they. It is a dark, dark conspiracy of theys and thems, amorphous, who are coming to get us. And Tim Scott does this superbly. First-rate demagoguery as he talks about the theys coming to get the MAGA people.
But unfortunately, under President Biden, our nation is retreating away from patriotism and faith. The fewest people in 30 years believe that their kids will be better off than their parents. And the radical left is pushing us into a culture of grievance instead of a culture of greatness.
One important aspect in any presidential election is an intangible. It's presidential bearing. President Biden is under constant assault by a right-wing smear machine that infers that he's senile. Donald Trump proved through 1,000 actions and more than 30,000 lies that he's totally incompetent, incapacitated, and unfit for the office of President of the United States. Now, a few years back, Howard Dean gave a speech after the Iowa caucuses. Let's watch.
We're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. We're going to California and Texas and New York. We're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
Let's compare.
And I can't tell you how much I mean this in the depths of my heart. I'm so proud to be an American. I hope you are. Are you proud to be an American? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, yeah.
Tim Scott does seem a bit exuberant. He'll have to work on this in the weeks ahead. But if you were to evaluate the speech as a campaign advisor standing back, hoping to beat Trump somewhere early, it was a great start. Tremendous job with the up from your bootstraps ethos and narrative that anybody can do it if you just work hard enough. This is foundational to the modern Republican ethos and goes all the way back with the lineage to Ronald Reagan talking about the welfare queens in the 1980 election. This is Tim Scott's version.
We live in the land of opportunity. We live in the land where it is absolutely possible for a kid raised in poverty, in a single-parent household, in a small apartment, to one day serve in the People's House, and maybe even the White House. When you think about the miracle of America, it always comes down to someone who loves unconditionally, who goes the extra mile, who's tough as nails, and who puts it all on the line. And for me, y'all be careful back there now. For me, it's my mom. Now, husband then, John Moniz, who caught me at the right time, who helped me survive some really hard times. And for those of you who wonder if it's possible for a broken kid in a broken home to rise beyond their circumstances, the answer is yes.
Will Tim Scott be able to dethrone Donald Trump? Probably not. But of all the Republican MAGA candidates in the race, he is the best shot at doing so. Soon, he's likely to pass Ron DeSantis by. I predict that by July 4th, he's likely to be competing or ahead for second place. In the months ahead, he will become Trump's chief alternative. DeSantis is Trump's cheapest imitation. That will become clear as DeSantis announces his candidacy later this week. Tim Scott is off to a good start in his pursuit of the MAGA nomination. The first thing he has to do is climb out of the asterisk and into the space where he's second place. He'll be on the move. He has the money to move. In a few short weeks, look for Tim Scott to be in second place.